There's a profound truth about aging that nobody tells you until it's too late. As we enter our golden years, we often feel a nostalgic pull to revisit old relationships, to reconnect with those from our past. But wisdom whispers a different message, one that took me decades to understand. In my work counseling seniors, I've witnessed countless stories of peace shattered and dignity compromised, all because of one simple mistake: returning to homes we should have left in the past. Today, I'm sharing the 4 types of homes that seniors must avoid, no matter how strong the pull of nostalgia or loneliness might be. If you've experienced similar situations, please share your story in the comments below. Your wisdom might help another soul avoid the same pain. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing advice for your golden years. Before we dive into these 4 crucial warnings, remember this: your peace of mind isn't just a luxury, it's your hard-earned right. And sometimes protecting that peace means knowing which doors should remain closed. Let's begin with the most dangerous home of all, the home of someone who has betrayed your trust. This warning might save you from one of the most painful experiences in your senior years. 1. The home of the betrayer. Martha never thought her best friend of 40 years would steal her retirement savings. "I trusted Susan with everything," she told me, her voice trembling. "When she suggested I invest my $50,000 in her son's business, I didn't think twice." That decision cost Martha not just her savings, but her sense of security in her golden years. Betrayal at any age cuts deep, but for seniors, it carries a particularly devastating sting. Why? Because at this stage of life, we're not just losing trust. We're losing precious time we can't get back, resources we can't easily replace, and peace we've spent decades building. The most dangerous part lies in how betrayers often appear. They come disguised as well-meaning friends or family members who know exactly how to exploit your vulnerabilities. They remember your loneliness after losing your spouse. They understand your fear of being a burden to your children. They recognize your desire to feel needed and valued, and they use this intimate knowledge against you. But people can change, you might say. Shouldn't we give second chances? Here's the hard truth I've learned from counseling hundreds of seniors. While people can change, your safety and peace of mind aren't a testing ground for their transformation. Consider this. When someone betrays you in your later years, they've made a calculated decision. They've weighed their gain against your well-being and chosen their benefit over your trust. This isn't a momentary lapse. It's a revelation of character. I've seen too many seniors deplete their savings, compromise their health, and lose their dignity trying to prove that betrayers deserve another chance. Take Helen's story. She welcomed back her nephew after he reformed in prison. Within 6 months, her credit was ruined, and her prized family heirlooms were sold. Her story isn't unique. It's a pattern I've witnessed repeatedly. The wisdom of aging teaches us that forgiveness doesn't require reunion. You can release the burden of anger without reopening your door to harm. Instead of revisiting these painful relationships, consider writing a letter you'll never send, expressing your feelings. Channel your energy into nurturing relationships that have proven trustworthy. Focus on building new connections in senior communities where safety comes first. Your golden years are precious, too precious to spend rebuilding broken trust. The home of a betrayer isn't just a physical space, it's an invitation to relive trauma. Your dignity, your peace, and your well-being are worth more than any explanation or apology they might offer. Remember what my grandmother used to say, "Trust is like a fine china teacup. Once broken, even if you glue it back together, you'll always see the cracks." In your senior years, you've earned the right to drink from unbroken cups. But betrayal isn't the only danger lurking in familiar places. Let's talk about another type of home that can slowly drain your joy, the dwelling place of the chronic complainer, where negativity becomes a way of life. 2. The home of the chronic complainer. At the Golden Meadows Retirement Community, everyone knew Margaret's apartment as the complaint department. She'd welcome visitors with fresh coffee, homemade cookies, and an endless stream of grievances. What started as occasional visits for many residents soon became a drain on their spirits, their health, and their joy. Dorothy, an 82-year-old former teacher, shared her experience with me. I thought I was being a good friend by listening, but after each visit, I felt heavier, more anxious, and started doubting my own happiness. It took me months to realize that Margaret's negativity was affecting my blood pressure and sleep. What makes these homes particularly dangerous for seniors is their subtle nature. The chronic complainer doesn't strike with the sudden pain of betrayal. Instead, they slowly infuse your world with darkness, like ink spreading through clear water. They'll tell you they're just being realistic or honest, but their reality is filtered through a lens of perpetual dissatisfaction. In these homes, every conversation becomes a downward spiral. Your joy about a grandchild's graduation becomes a lecture about how this generation has it too easy. Your excitement about a new hobby turns into a dissertation on why nothing is as good as it used to be. Your peace becomes collateral damage in their war against contentment. The science is clear. Prolonged exposure to negativity affects seniors more profoundly than younger adults. Our nervous systems become more sensitive to stress as we age. What might have rolled off our backs in our 40s can trigger anxiety, depression, and even physical illness in our golden years. I remember Tom, a 75-year-old retired accountant who spent every Thursday with his old colleague Robert. I kept going because we shared 40 years of history, Tom explained. But after each visit, my arthritis would flare up, and my daughter noticed I'd become increasingly pessimistic about everything. When Tom finally limited these visits, his health improved and his natural optimism returned. The truth is, in our senior years, we've earned the right to choose joy. We've weathered enough storms to know that life has both sunshine and rain, but we don't need to sit in someone else's perpetual thunderstorm. Their negativity isn't wisdom, it's a habit they've chosen to embrace. Instead of these draining encounters, seek out spaces where hope flourishes. Join the morning coffee group at your community center where laughter flows freely. Attend the gardening club where members share both the struggles and joys of growing things. Connect with people who can acknowledge life's challenges without being consumed by them. While chronic complainers can drain our joy, there's another type of home that poses a different threat. The place where your growth is denied, where you're forever frozen in someone else's outdated version of you. 3. The home of the growth denier. You're too old for that. These 5 words hit Richard like a slap across the face. At 73, he'd mastered digital art, creating stunning landscapes on his iPad that attracted thousands of followers online. Yet, in his sister's living room, his achievements shrank under her dismissive gaze. "Stick to your crosswords," she'd say, her tone dripping with condescension. "That's more appropriate for someone your age." Let me be crystal clear. There is nothing more dangerous to your spirit than a home where your growth is treated like a crime. These are the places where your evolution is dismissed as acting young, where your new passions are labeled as inappropriate, and where your expanding horizons are met with skepticism and shame. The growth deniers work with surgical precision. They'll say things like, "I'm just worried about you," or "We want what's best for you." But beneath these seemingly caring words lies a devastating message. Stay small, stay predictable, stay in the box we've created for you. I witnessed this with Sarah, a 68-year-old widow who dared to embrace life again. After 30 years of marriage and losing her husband, she discovered salsa dancing. Her joy was palpable until she visited her children. "Mom, what will people think?" they'd ask, their embarrassment obvious. "Dad's only been gone 2 years." Their words carried an unspoken demand. Stay in your grief. Remain the widow. Don't outgrow our comfort. But here's the powerful truth I want you to grasp. Your age is not a cage. your past is not a prison. Every morning you wake up breathing is another opportunity to expand, to explore, to become more fully yourself. Anyone who tries to clip your wings doesn't deserve access to your flight path. Think about this. Would you tell a library to stop adding new books because it's been around for 70 years? Would you insist that a garden remain exactly as it was planted decades ago? Of course not. Growth isn't just natural, it's essential. It's life itself. The most insidious part of the growth denier's home is how they weaponize your age against you. They'll use phrases like, "at your age," or "for someone your age," as if wisdom and experience should narrow your world rather than expand it. They've forgotten that some of history's most remarkable achievements came from people in their golden years. Let me be direct. When someone consistently denies your growth, they're not protecting you. They're protecting their outdated image of you. Their comfort zone shouldn't become your prison cell. Your evolution isn't up for their approval. Your growth isn't subject to their permission. Remember this. Every time you learn something new, every time you take on a challenge, every time you surprise yourself with your capabilities, you're not just growing, you're showing others what's possible. Don't let anyone dim that light. But while growth deniers try to keep you small, there's an even more toxic environment waiting to tear you down, the home of those who see your joy as a personal attack. Let's talk about the resenters, those who can't celebrate your peace because it mirrors their own stagnation. 4. The home of the success resenter. I used to think she was my best friend. Jane's voice cracked as she shared her story. At 72, she'd created a beautiful life, a peaceful home in Florida, healthy relationships with her grandchildren, and enough savings to travel. But her last visit to her former colleague Barbara's house left her shaken. Every mention of my grandchildren was met with, "Must be nice to have kids who actually care." Every photo of my garden was countered with, "Some of us have real problems to deal with." I left feeling guilty for being happy. Let me be brutally honest. Success in your golden years paints a target on your back. Your peace becomes a mirror that forces others to confront their own choices, and some people would rather shatter that mirror than face their reflection. These are the success resenters, and their homes are more dangerous than you might realize. The resentment shows up in countless ways. They'll listen to your cruise plans with tight smiles, then launch into detailed stories of their medical struggles. They'll see photos of your family gathering and immediately remind you of their own children's failures. Every blessing in your life becomes a weapon they use to wound themselves, and by extension, you. Consider Robert's experience. At 80, after decades of careful planning, he could help his grandchildren with college. "My brother started calling me Mr. Moneybags at family gatherings," he shared. He'd make snide comments like, "We can't all be perfect like Robert." I stopped mentioning anything about my grandkids. I started feeling ashamed of being able to help them. Here's what makes these homes so toxic. They don't just attack your joy, they make you question your right to have it. You start hiding your blessings, dimming your light, apologizing for your peace. It's a subtle form of emotional extortion. Pay for your happiness with guilt, or pay with your relationships. But I want you to hear this clearly. You don't owe anyone an apology for your well-being. Your contentment isn't a crime. Your good fortune isn't a sin to be confessed. You've spent decades making choices, weathering storms, learning from mistakes. Your current peace isn't luck. It's the harvest of seeds you planted long ago. So here's my direct advice, born from years of counseling seniors through these situations. First, recognize the pattern. When someone consistently turns your good news into their tragedy, that's not friendship. It's emotional vampirism. They're feeding off your guilt to sustain their narrative of victimhood. Second, stop diluting your joy. Don't minimize your blessings or apologize for your peace. You wouldn't expect a garden to apologize for blooming. Don't expect it of yourself. Third, understand that their reaction to your life has nothing to do with you. Their bitterness is a story they've written for themselves, and you're not responsible for editing it. Finally, give yourself permission to protect your peace. Maybe that means shorter visits. Maybe it means redirecting conversations when they turn toxic. Maybe it means loving some people from a safe distance. Remember what my wise grandmother used to say, "Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm." Your golden years are precious, too precious to spend them tiptoeing around others' resentment. As we close our discussion of these 4 toxic homes, let's talk about how to move forward, how to protect your joy, nurture your peace, and fully embrace the life you've worked so hard to create. Throughout our journey today, we've explored 4 homes that can threaten your golden years: the betrayer's trap, the complainer's den, the denier's cage, and the resenter's prison. Each offers familiar comfort, but carries hidden dangers to your peace and dignity. Remember this: your well-being isn't negotiable. The wisdom of aging teaches us that sometimes the kindest thing we can do for ourselves is to walk away from places that compromise our peace, no matter how nostalgic they might feel. Your golden years should be exactly that, golden, not tarnished by toxic relationships, not dimmed by others' darkness. Choose wisely. Guard your peace. Share your story below. Like and subscribe for more wisdom that protects your peace.